Yo, I'm here in Chicago. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late. Had some technical difficulties getting this new mic set up. I don't like the location of it now. The mic stand that I bought is too high. I can't make it any shorter, but I was trying to figure out ways to make it work, but we're going to go with this for today. It's really like in my peripheral vision, so I feel like it's bothering me, but I think it sounds good. So hopefully you guys are hearing me okay. And we made it to Friday. Congratulations, everybody. I got to tell you, I am so exhausted. So exhausted. Definitely need the afternoon coffee for today, but it is a little bit warm in here. I'm going with the windows, and the way the weather's been in Chicago lately, it's been nice and brisk in the mornings, but by the time you hit like midday, it gets hot again. See, I got some sweat going on in here. I don't know if you guys could see that on camera, but I'm getting a little bit warm. So we'll see how long I can make it for today's live stream, but for however long we do go today, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast version. Hope you guys are having a good run out there. Hopefully it's nice balmy weather for you, or you're having a good commute and that there's no traffic on the road and it's just smooth sailing. And for the few of you who are using this to help you fall asleep, I hope that you're having a relaxing time and can drift away quickly. Anyway, everyone watching this on YouTube, that's not live, welcome to you guys as well. Hopefully you guys have a much more interesting recovery beverage than I have. Although, you know, I definitely need the coffee for today. So that's a perfect beverage for me. All right, let's see who we got here. We got Garrett Meek wishing everyone a happy Friday. Awesome. Thomas Villa says, hello, fine people of the running world. I love that. Martha gives the wave emoji. We haven't seen a good wave emoji in a long time, so I'm glad you're bringing it back, Martha. That's one of my favorites. I don't know why I enjoy that one so much. JC says, hi, folks. And Daniel M says, yo, just got Strava Pro or whatever it's called. What are some of the perks I should look into? I'm not sure. Like the subscription service now, I think, you know, one of the things you could look at is it helps you kind of look at your like running on a calendar a lot easier. That used to be free. And then I think that is one of the things that got moved behind the paywall. The other thing that you could look at a lot easier is some of like the KOMs or QOMs and some of like the segments and stuff in terms of who you're competing against. What are some other times? So that's one way to look at it. And then the other thing, I think probably the most practical thing though, is like, it gives you some more like running metrics. So depending on which device you have, you may or may not like the way that you're able to look at your running data in terms of what were your heart rates over various points of a workout, or what were your power numbers, that kind of thing. I think Strava lets you look at it a little bit more closely. So those are some of the things that you can really benefit from Strava. There's other like navigational things too, I think, that help. Like if you travel a lot, it helps you find other routes to run. And I think that's kind of like some of the benefits of the subscription. I don't have the subscription. I had it for a little while. I was like a beta tester or something like that, and then they took it away from me. And it says, hi, Kofuzi and everybody. Running in the drizzle tonight with Pip. You hardly notice when you get going. Yeah, you know what? I just saw something today. A runner on Instagram was like made a reel about like reasons why you should not be afraid of running in the rain. And I'm like, is that a thing? Are people like not running in the rain a lot? I feel like we shouldn't worry about that so much. It's just water. But yeah, I do love like, I mean, I remember for me in high school, especially when I did more track workouts, I would love it when it was just like lightly drizzling. Cause then like, you know, that burn you get when you're doing a hard track workout and you're just like, your throat feels dry and you always want water or those kinds of things. I feel like those pains are less intense when you've got some light drizzle on. So I looked forward to that kind of weather when I was on the track. Well, hope you and Pip are enjoying it out there today. All right, where we go? David Prabhu. We got some big news in the running world today, by the way. David Prabhu says, happy Friday, everyone. And Thomas Villa says, yo, stopped at Come and Go this morning, and I picked up a Twinkie from 1912. I bet you it was super fresh, though. I mean, as fresh as Twinkies get. You know, people say that, like, Twinkies, you know, are like the cockroaches of the food world. They'll like survive a nuclear holocaust kind of thing. But like, I mean, would they? Remember, wait, when was it? Was this during the pandemic when Twinkies all of a sudden were on like being sold and traded on eBay for like a lot of money? I remember ketchup packets was a thing because like everyone was running out of ketchup packets. And so like people were hoarding ketchup packets. And clearly, like, you know, obviously, like, the toilet paper people were hoarding. But, like, I feel like boxes of Twinkies were, like, something that people were hoarding. Or was that before the pandemic? Because I feel like maybe they were saying, like, they were going to stop making Twinkies. And so I don't remember. But, I mean, whatever the case may be, if they still are carrying Twinkies in stock, you should stock up. Stevie76 says, yo, what's going on? And Vegan Runner says, what's going on, Vegan Runner? Says, happy Friday, Co and gang. All right. Oh, my mom's here. Hi, Mom. How are you doing today? Hope things are going well in New Jersey. Big news today is that today's September 17th. And on September 17th, that is 1 month out, right? From 1 month out from the Tokyo Marathon, or 30 days out, I think either way, same way, from the Tokyo Marathon. And they were supposed to have a meeting. The state of emergency in Tokyo was extended from the prior September 12th date to September 30th. And then the Tokyo Marathon, they set out rules for themselves saying if there was a state of emergency within 30 days of the running or the scheduled running, that they would cancel or postpone. And so last week, when the extension of that state of emergency was announced, Tokyo Marathon tweeted out saying, like, we're aware that the state of emergency has changed, so we're going to meet on the September 17th, and then we'll tweet you guys about it later. And they did, and they postponed to March 6, 2022. So that is crazy news. Very sad to see that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a real bummer. They got to do what they got to do. And they were already, limiting it from, not having international runners, and trying to do whatever they could to save that race. But, I'm surprised that they didn't try to figure out to do some sort of like elites only type of event either. Like on some sort of like the London Marathon, do a looped course, 4 or 5 loops around a certain area that they could even block off, like that type of thing. But yeah, it's crazy. Very, very crazy. Yeah. And Danielle says, is the big news for today like the Salazar ban? No, that's not the big news, but it's also news. So like, did that come out like a couple days ago, or was that just today? I don't know. The days are mixing to me. Yeah. So the Salazar ban, his appeal was upheld. And, we already saw earlier in like last week or maybe even 2 weeks ago, Shelby Houlihan's appeal was also denied as well. So it's been a lot of stuff has been happening in the running world for sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Jeff Elliott says, wasn't Salazar already banned? He was already banned, but he had appealed it. There was also like a safe sport ban. So there was like a doping part. And then there was also another part. I'm not sure how these two entities intersect or what it is. But one was based on like his kind of like abusive behavior towards his athletes. So like from like a mental and physical health perspective. And then the other one was from like a doping violation perspective. So I think those are two different things. So like even if like I think if Salazar's ban had been overturned by the appeal from WADA's perspective, from like a doping perspective, I still think that he would have had a hard time at least in the US finding people to coach. Because of that I think it was Safe Sport was the governing body there. So I'm and I'm not sure it really would have mattered all that much anyway, or that anyone's really all that surprised. But it's not making as much news as I thought it would. So people have been pretty quiet about it, I think. All right. Goku Runner, what's going on? He says, Greek yogurt is like a Twinkie. He says he eats his way past expiration date. Do you really? See, Greek yogurt is one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. Yogurt, Greek yogurt especially, it has that tang to it, which I enjoy. We typically buy a lot of Greek yogurt. But it's like, how do you know when it's bad? I mean, I know when it's really bad. But I'm like, how do you know when it's a close call? I'm not sure. So like I typically will rely on the expiration date. AJ's today is eating lunch buffet at Whole Foods. Nice. I hope you're not getting the pizza. Whole Foods pizza always disappoints. I just got to say. Mariano's, the grocery store chain, which is kind of like, like a regular grocery store, but a little bit nicer. And it tries to do a lot of stuff that Whole Foods does in this area. They have like a pizza bar as well. And occasionally, I don't know that the pizza bar has been open since the pandemic started, but before then, I would typically try to sneak in real quick because it's on the way to picking up the girls from school, and like grab a slice of pizza to eat on the way before I picked up the girls. Secret eating some pizza in the afternoon. And it wasn't good pizza, but it was hot and it was tasty enough. So like, you know, for that purpose, it worked, but it wasn't ever very good. The idea of it was always better. But I overall really like eating at Whole Foods. When I travel, that's usually where I like to kind of eat. Unless I'm like going to a restaurant, but if like I just need, you know, like I need to grab a bite to eat before something else, I really like Whole Foods. All right, Felipe Arc says, entered my first half marathon in November. Awesome. Any advice you would give for a first timer? My goal is 1 hour, 55 minutes, just under 2 hours. My goals would be start out with the 2-hour group, stay with them for, you know, a while, and then pick up the pace as you're feeling good later on. I would say probably don't make any moves for the first like half. So like 6.5 miles or so, maybe at the 7-mile mark. If you're feeling great, go for it. If you're not, you know, stay with them. That way you'll at least get under the 2-hour mark. That strategy may make it a little bit harder for you to hit 155, but I feel like for your first time, you know, getting the pacing right can be really tricky. Especially depending also on where the race is. You might have some GPS issues, like if it's in a city. A lot of interference from buildings can mess up your GPS pace on your watch. So I think that like staying with the pace group is a probably better way, a little bit more of a conservative way to ensure success in getting under that 2-hour mark. My first half marathon was 2 hours and 5 minutes. So just to put that into perspective. All right, addicted to the rest of that word says Twinkies was way before the pandemic. Was it? Like when everyone was buying it on eBay and stuff? That's interesting. That's an interesting name you got there, addicted. All right. Let's see. Frank says the Twinkies are now hoarded in the same warehouse as all the bicycles. That's funny. Can you imagine if there's just someone there that's like, I'm waiting for things to really hit the fan. Then it will unleash all these products on the market and finally do some price gouging. Like, is that the plan? That's funny. All right. Mika Kataya said, hello all, I had a nice 2 hours and 150 beats per minute long run after work. There you go. That's nice. Think about recording 2 long runs a week rather than 2 workouts. So, you know, I think it depends on, you know, where you are in terms of your training plans. Like if you're actively training for a marathon or a half marathon versus just kind of like general fitness, you know, I think when I'm not actively training for a race or doing race specific training, I like to do more. I don't really do a lot of workouts. So I think having 2 long runs is a lot more useful and a lot more fun for me. Workouts are fun, but it's a different kind of fun that I don't enjoy as much as a nice long run. So, yeah. But right now, I've been doing 2 workouts a week and a long one. So basically like 3 quality sessions a week. And let me tell you what, it's a lot. It's one of the reasons why I'm so tired. It's also really hot in here. And I'm just like sweating like crazy. I got a fan on over there. I'm sure it's making a weird kind of hum in the background, but the fan is not enough. I'm really hot. All right, let me scroll down a little bit because I think I'm way behind you guys in the chat. All right. All right. Sai said, how many miles did you run today? I ran like 8 and change, I think. Today's workout was 6 times, my mile repeats, my air quotes mile repeats, 6 times 6 minutes with 1 minute rest. Those 6-minute intervals at threshold pace or threshold effort. And today, really, I was just going by effort. I was looking at the watch, but mainly to see how much time left in the interval because I was just tired. I had a hard workout, which is what the video was about today, the ISO 800s earlier in the week or 2 days ago. And then I definitely could have used like another recovery day or easy day before this workout. But, you know, I guess I'm in peak week for Chicago Marathon training. So the workout was today, and I was just like, I'm not going to try to hit a power number or a pace or a heart rate range. I'm just going to go and run at what feels like threshold and see if I can hold on. I wasn't sure that I was going to make it through the workout. So, yeah. So, like, I was having a hard time with it today. And it ended up being like 10-minute warm-up, 6 times 6 minutes, which is almost a mile. It's like 9/10 of a mile at my paces. And then 1 minute rest intervals, and then cool down ended up being a little bit more than 8. But it was really nice out today. It wasn't windy, which is good, but it was a little bit warm. I really wish I could be running early in the day, but my schedule isn't working out quite that way lately. Kevin Bickerton says, YouTube recommended me Paul Chalima's YouTube channel. Only one video so far, but could be interesting to see other professional runners' training regime. I really hope that, well, like, there's a petty part of me that really hopes that there's a lot of that. And then there's like another part of me as a running fan that hopes there's a lot of that. Let me talk about the running fan part first. I think that'd be amazing. I would love to see a lot more runners, especially non-US runners as well. I know that's going to be harder because then they have to not only train to be world level athletes, but also make content in a second language. So it's just like, that's a lot. So that's difficult. And what here, I'm about to go off on a tangent, but let me hold off on that. Let me finish the thought. So I would love to see more of that. Like I think people like Sage, who's been making YouTube videos for forever, kind of like opened the door to this idea that, oh, we could see how elites are training. And even when you watch Seth's videos, like he's represented Team USA. So like he's a world level athlete that's doing that as well. And so it's like, I love to be able to see that the people that are at that level and what their training looks like. And I want it to get like super reality TV. Give me the daily vlog. I want to see all that kind of stuff, right? I don't want to just see the workouts. Like that's cool, but Instagram is really great for that. For like, look how hard I work. I want to see all the rest of it too. So that's really why I hope that there's more of that that's coming. The petty part of me wants to be like, yes, I want them to all make videos like Morgan McDonald. Because then they won't make fun of YouTubers in the running space. And they're like, oh, it's just so easy. Like all these YouTubers, all they do is make videos about running. They're not even that good at running. And they're just making YouTube videos. And why don't they have a following? I don't understand. So I want them to be like, this is a lot of work. I don't need anyone to pat me on the back. But I just, one of like my pet peeves is like the way that traditional running, like I guess, the traditional like pillars of influence in terms of the running community really like to poop on running social media. They love it. They love to have the conversation of, is this ruining professional sports? It's like a favorite topic of theirs. So like I'm like, it's a fair conversation to have. I think that it shows a lot of insecurity to indulge in that conversation too long, but fair enough to discuss it. So I love just the idea of like other pros getting into it just so that they can, I see what pros do and I have nothing but respect for it. But like, I'm not saying that pros need to respect what I'm doing. That's far be it. Just don't poop on it. So that's kind of where I'm at on that one. The other thing that I would love to think of, I'm like, I don't know how I get into this, is, I get Instagram ads for it all the time. I see YouTube ads for it all the time. People that are saying like, do you want to be a YouTube star, but do you hate editing videos? Which is like two things that like, you kind of have to like editing videos. Unless you really want to pay a production company. But there's all these production companies that'll be like, you make the content, send it to us, and we'll edit it for you and send it back so you can do the stuff that you like doing and don't have to worry about making videos. So I'm like, oh, how can I become the guy that edits videos for other pros? I got to figure that out. That's something that I would like to figure out. I don't know that I would like to do that, but it's something that's interesting to me. I don't know if that would ever happen or if anyone would trust me with their content, but I think that'd be interesting. PJR says, I'm going to be in Chicago the weekend before the marathon. Hopefully I'll get a run in along the lakefront or in the city. The weekend before the marathon. Oh, the weekend before the marathon. I'm trying to think. That's not the half marathon. That's the week after the half marathon. Yeah, I think it might be pretty quiet along the lakefront because people will be out there because everyone's getting ready for Chicago. But yeah, it's like in between the half marathon and the marathon. It's an interesting time, but yeah, cool. I hope you enjoy it. Frank says, when it comes to watching all the runners, I don't need to see all the runners making coffee though. Why are they always video making coffee? It's kind of like a thing. It's like when you need content, it's, I think of it as like when all the daily vloggers, I don't know if you were watching a lot of daily vlogs back in like, 5-10 years ago, Frank, but like when all the daily vloggers were like filming themselves on like, what are they call the hoverboards, those things, or like electric skateboards. It's like, it's just filler. It's kind of interesting. It's, I think of it, the other way to think of it is it's like the YouTube version of painting a bowl full of fruit. It's kind of like that. So some people are really good at it. Other people is just like, that was an interesting exercise, but it's something that all of them seem to do. I'm trying to think. I've made several videos about making coffee, so I'm not immune to that for sure. Daniel M says, have y'all ever watched a Norwegian reality / doc team Ingebrigtsen? It's excellent. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, but it's not always in English, so it's harder for me. Like things with subtitles are very hard for me. I know I need to make a better effort. So, but I do love the idea of it, and yeah, I do enjoy watching it. It doesn't always show up in my feed though. Hey, it's Sean A. says, I'm flying from Boston to run the Chicago Marathon, second marathon. We're doing a meetup for an easy run before the race. Yeah, we'll do one Saturday. I think I'm going to put out, I just need, it'll be Saturday morning. I'm going to time it so that way when we're done, if people want to go to the expo, it'll be plenty of time. Like if you hop in an Uber from downtown where we'll finish, you'll be able to get to the expo in time for right when it opens so that you can get there early before it's too crowded. Do the expo thing and then get home, plenty of time to put your feet up. So that's kind of the idea. So it'll be Saturday morning. More details will come out soon. Jeff Elliott says, in terms of shows we misses the Mako show. I really miss Mako show. That was a good one. And then Jeff says, I miss Morgan as well. Yeah, he was just talking with someone. He was just on an interview somewhere where he was talking about it became a big thing for him, and it just became a lot of work, and it was really interfering. But I also think he had a hard time which I think is a missed opportunity, but I don't want to put, he's a pro runner and he's got to take care of that first. And I don't think he was in the best mental space when he got injured. So I feel like if he had continued to make a lot of content while he was injured, I think that would have been extremely relatable. And I think that would, a missed opportunity there, but he had to do what he had to do. And making videos wasn't one of the things that was high on his list of things that he really wanted to do. And if you don't want to make YouTube videos, making YouTube videos is a pretty terrible thing to have to do on a regular basis. So hopefully he'll bring some more back, but maybe I should just see if I can get into his DMs, be like, dude, if you just want to upload all your footage to me, I'll make a video every once in a while with it. But I don't know. I don't edit. He's much younger than I am, and he has his video editing style is much a younger aesthetic than mine. And so I think I would have a hard time editing it and still making it feel like a Morgan McDonald video. But I think I'd figure it out, but it would just take a while. All right. Jared Crano says, dang, I'll be driving from Cleveland to Chicago on Saturday morning. Maybe I can catch you at the expo. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing expo-wise. I have worked out a brand deal, which I'm pretty excited about. And so I think I need to spend a lot of time at the expo on Friday, mostly doing photography type stuff, videography stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm going to really, I'm still not decided if I'm going to go on Saturday. Now, the thing I'm thinking about is, I think an interesting video would be to kind of go with someone else to the expo with them. But I don't know. Expos are I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I'm still thinking about it. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure exactly what my expo schedule is going to be. But I got to figure it out. There's not a lot of time left. There's 3 weeks left. So. Goku Run wants to know, are you getting a GoPro 10? I ordered it instantly. I saw the trailer teaser for it, and it was 4K, 120 FPS, and I was instantly buy. I wanted to get it right away, because 4K 120 is what I've been waiting for. Here's the thing that I'm nervous about, and I haven't done a lot of research for it yet. I'm sure if I dug deep in some of the specs and stuff, I would find it out. I don't like super view or wide view on the GoPro as much. I like linear because I always have mine on a stick. And so sometimes for some of the higher resolutions and higher frame rates in GoPro, not all the camera like aspects are available. So sometimes it's like limited. Like if you want to get super view, you can't always get 120 frames per second at 2.7K, I think, so, for an example. So I'm just really hoping that it's 4K 120 and I still get linear. Because if I have to use like wide for it, it's not as interesting for me. But either way, like whatever it has from like reviewing the camera perspective as like someone who runs with a GoPro, I needed to get it anyway. And from a GoPro enthusiast perspective, I want to get it anyway. So whatever it comes with, we'll see. And I'll save my disappointment for actually have it in hand or my excitement for it. So we'll see. Because then, but here's the thing. If the 4K 120 for the GoPro is what I want it to be, then it's like, uh-oh, now do I need to update my camera so that my big camera, when I'm shooting product B-roll, do I need to update that so I can get 4K 120 on that as well? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. So I'm really excited. All right. Martha says, Sam at Road Trail Run just gave a great review of the Endorphin Pro, which sounds more forgiving than the regular Pro, especially for non-4-foot strikers. Tempts me to give another try for a carbon-plated shoe at the last minute. That's interesting. I just thought it was a different upper. I just thought like it was a more stripped-down upper. I didn't know that or maybe the upper change is changing some of the dynamics of the shoe, but I wasn't that interested at all in the Endorphin Pro Plus. But I mean, if the dynamics are going to change a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to kind of wait and see on that one, I guess. Wicked World says, Yoko, just ordered the Puma Liberate, only $62. Wow. It's a big Puma sale going on now. Is it really? Liberate, that's the low, yeah, that's the fast one, right? Lower to the ground. No, wait, Deviate, Liberate, which one is the Liberate? I don't know, I keep forgetting. Every day I look at the Puma shoes and I'm like, I need to put some more miles in these. They are good, but they, I've got a schedule of stuff I need to get through. So sometimes I'm running in other things. All right, Matt says, what's going on, Matt? Matt says, I would think a lot of these devices like GoPro wouldn't limit linear mode because they're often cropping in to allow for higher frame rates. Seems like they would limit ultra wide. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm really hoping for. But I remember like maybe it was the 8 or the 7 where like you couldn't get linear for some reason. It was only wide. There's like one, I don't know, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm hoping, here's the two main things, my main takes on it is super excited for 4K 120. And I'm hoping it's everything I imagine it will be. If it's like 4K 120, but only at super wide, I'm going to be like, why? It doesn't even help me. It's kind of like the 5K in the GoPro Hero 9. It's at like 30 frames per second only at, I think it's only at wide. I don't think you can get linear on the 5. I'll have to double check that. But that 5K is pretty much useless to me. But the other thing that I'm super excited about is it's based on a new chip, right? Was it the GP2 new chip? And if it's capable of recording 4K at 120 frames per second, maybe if they take that chip and put it into an updated GoPro Max, maybe we can get 5K 360 images at 60 frames per second, or better yet, at 100 frames per second. Can you imagine that? That would be my dream camera, even though I really, really dislike working with the GoPro Hero Max, both from a hardware and a software perspective. I dislike it. But if it could get me that 5K level of resolution and give me 100 frames per second, I mean, I don't know what the bottleneck is. Is it the chip? Is it card writing speeds? I'm not sure, but I want it. So that's what I'm really excited about, the fact that they're on new silicon. Is that the correct use of that jargon? I'm not sure. All right. Martha says about the Endorphin Pro Plus, it's got different materials and a special insole that allows it to shed more upper weight. But he says it aligns his feet better than any other shoe. Oh, interesting. Maybe I will have to take a look at that. Eddie says, hey, Kofuzi, you seem to very much enjoy your bike. Any plans to get a more serious bike? I mean, it took me a long time to get the Specialized LA. And I feel like that the next step for me to get some clip-on aero bars. Other than that, I feel like, I mean, I see myself getting like a gravel bike first, yeah, probably getting a gravel bike first, rather than updating the Specialized LA. It's plenty of bike for me, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it for many years. So I don't really think I think my bike already needs a tune-up. I think I've been grinding the gears. One of the gears, when I'm in it, no matter what, it just doesn't pedal smoothly anymore. So I think I did something to it. I think maybe it needs like a tune-up after, now that it's got like about 100 miles in it since I bought it. But yeah, so there's that. But I don't think I'll outgrow that bike for a long time in terms of like my cycling experience. Rather, I probably would just collect other bikes first, rather than a better road bike. Jay from LA says, can you share your first and second marathon experience based on your training? What are the results expected? The first one, the results were not expected, but they should have been. My first marathon was like 4 hours and just shy of 4 hours and 45 minutes. I went from couch to marathon in a period of about 5 months, and it was terrible. I had a really hurt knee by the end, and I didn't want to run, and I didn't run for like 2 years after that. I thought I maybe would do a little bit better than 4.5 hours. I thought I'd be maybe 4:15, but I was running in Baltimore. I did the Baltimore Marathon. It's very hilly, and I had no idea beforehand that it was going to be hilly. I didn't know that one should look at the elevation profile for a race. So lots of rookie mistakes made. The second marathon was Chicago, and that one was like a 3:40 something, so like an hour improvement. And that was pretty much what I expected. I was running much more consistently. I had kind of like over a year to train for it. Not that I, went into like a 50-week marathon training plan, but that year I ran for like, I had already been running for a little bit again, and I'd been running consistently for quite a bit longer. And so like, the plan, I don't think I did much speed work. I think I just did lots more running, worked on consistency, and just lots of easy-ish running. So, yeah. And so that was the result I was expecting, but it still was a bit faster than I thought I'd be on that one. Dami says, 1 more week of training, 32K long run coming up, and then tapering. Any tips for tapering? The only tip I have for tapering is I like to call it race week, because I don't like tapering. It has a negative connotation in my mind. I never know if I'm doing it right, and I get super nervous. So I just call it race week. And so it helps me kind of put the correct kind of like perspective on things. So that's one thing. The other thing that I do is I have lately, starting this year, I have for like weeks that I'm tapering, still doing a little bit of a workout, like 5 days out, just to kind of stay sharp and make sure the body is still very comfortable with like threshold level effort. So it's a shorter workout, but still doing a little bit of a workout. I know lots of people basically like to put the brakes on their training once they're like 3 weeks out or 2 weeks out, and then just easy runs the rest of the way in. That doesn't work well for me. My body gets too antsy. So that's the only other thing. All right. Hey, John A says, which shoe are you using to run the Chicago Marathon? I think I'm going to be using the Metaspeed Sky. I'll be running in the RC Elite 2 for my 20 miler this weekend, which I think I'm going to start out on that 20 miler there's 2 pace groups. There's a 7:30 pace group and an 8 minute per mile pace group. I think I'm probably going to start out, I don't know, I'll probably start out in between them. I think I'd like to try to run 7:45s for 20 miles. So that's going to be it's going to be a moderate pace for the entire time. So it won't be, no 20 mile run is easy, but I think 7:30s might be a bit aggressive because I don't need it to be a speed workout. I just want to have time on feet. I want it to be more aerobic, but I also want to have some level of like marathon simulation, but I don't need it to be marathon difficult. So I think, running at like 30 seconds to 45 seconds slower than goal marathon pace is probably the right way to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, if the RC Elite 2 ends up being like a dream, then I might run in that instead of the Metaspeed Sky, but the default is going to be Metaspeed Sky. Ooh. Jeff says the bike shop may do a free tune-up on the bike you bought it from, and they might do an affordable fitting too. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll bring it back. I don't know when we're going to go back. That's the thing, because then I have to go to Iowa. I've been thinking about, going across state lines. But if we take the kids, then because of like travel restrictions on unvaccinated people in Illinois, and specifically for Chicago and Chicago public schools, they would have to quarantine for 14 days afterwards. So we're leaving the kids. The kids are going to stay in Iowa until they can or in Illinois until they can get vaccinated, which is causing some tension and trepidation for Thanksgiving. So. All right. Let's see. Martha says 2 weeks out. She likes to have speed and tempo days on and one last 12 miler. All right. The week before, though, should be really easy. 40 minutes twice, one with some intervals, then a shakeout. That's it. Yeah, see, I like that. For me, 2 weeks out, the 2 weeks out will start with the Chicago Half Marathon, because that's usually 2 weeks away from the Chicago Marathon. And this year, I'm going to be going with running, I think, 10 miles at goal marathon pace with a fast 5K at the end. So that way it's a workout, but it's mainly just like pacing practice and patience practice. So I think that's where I'm going to go with. And New Betra says, oh, though, if I'm thinking about getting aero bars, that would be a good time to do the fit, unless you just get short jammer style ones. I don't know what short jammer style ones means, but that's a good point. But I do think I need to get that bike looked at, because it's like clicking around a lot. It's as if like it's like the chain is not like catching the gear almost. It's not a gear I'm always in, but when it happens, I'm like, oh boy, I messed this bike up a little bit already. Paul Kane says he's got a half marathon on Sunday, then a 16-mile race 2 weeks on Sunday. Had a half marathon 2 weeks ago, so I feel stuck in lower mileage weeks. Yeah, but if you're doing all this racing though, your intensity level is high. So I feel like, don't worry about the number. I was thinking about it today, because my wife looked at me. I was sitting on the couch, like eyes glazed over, because I was so tired after my workout today. She's like, "You look tired." I'm like, I'm kind of in peak week for marathon training, even though I only really started marathon training, like, focused marathon training like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then I was like, but my mileage is only going to hit like 62 miles this week, I think, which is a bit low for me. But the intensity's been high. I normally don't do 3 quality sessions a week. So it's like, trade-offs, I think. Mika says, I'd really like to try the RC Elite 2s, but it's probably less than a month before first snow, and those are definitely not for running in the snow. Oh, wow. It must be cold where you are, Mika. Ubetra says about the bike. The cable housing compresses, which can cause shifting imprecision. Unless you drop the bike on the derailleur side, it's probably just that. I did drop the bike. Well, I don't think I dropped it on the derailleur side. I fell on the bike, but I fell on the other side. I fell because I don't know how to clip in and clip out that well. And I scratched my Insta360 lens. But I don't think that damaged the bike. I think I scraped like some of the bar tape. That's about it. Matt says sometimes shifting cable stretch after a few weeks when they're new. Also wondering if you're cleaning that chain. No, I'm not. I don't know how to do that. I think it's time for me to YouTube how to maintain a bicycle. I got to figure some of that stuff out because I have not been doing it. Whoops. I'm not very good at taking care of physical things. Like in physical, I'm good at like digital things, like making videos. I'm not so good at maintaining things. Like I think our car, I think it's like 600 or 700 miles overdue for the oil change. I know that's not a huge deal, but I have a tendency to let like things like that slide too much. Samko Buzek says, what's your favorite daily trainer shoe of 2021 so far? I'd say it's I'll give you 2 because I don't want to give you just one. I'll give you 2. I think the Nova Blast 2 and the Hoka Mach 4. Those are the 2 best ones for 2021. But, I don't know. Is the Rincon 3? I haven't run in it yet, but I have a pair now. Is that a daily trainer now? I'm not sure. KCA says, where'd it go? Here we go. KCA says, happy Friday all. He's racing this weekend at the Black Cat 10 miler in Salem, Massachusetts.
Thanks for all the inspiration, guys. Are the best. You guys are the best. Awesome. Well, good luck to you, Casey, on that 10 mile. You have to let us know how it goes on Monday. Paul Benji says, it never fails that I gain a pound or two during taper. Do you cut food intake during taper or just keep it consistent? Realistically, I would say keep it the same, but I think practically I end up eating more. Just because I think I have more time and more energy to cook. And then so like my hunger and my free time coincide. And so I end up like making more food. And I wouldn't try to like, I think it's fine if you gain a little bit of weight. And if it's a pound or two, I mean, are most people's scales that precise? I'm not really sure. I don't weigh myself regularly. I know my scale gives me my pounds in terms of like tenths of a pound, but like, I just feel like your normal, depending on the time of day, your weight can fluctuate that much. But that all being said, during taper, you want to be resting. One of the things that you want to be doing as part of that rest and recovery is, making sure your body has all the ingredients that it needs to rebuild from the work that you've been putting through for the last 10, 12, 14 weeks before that. And you also want to be making sure that you're, storing up enough glycogen in your body. So doing that carb loading for, I think, people say carb load for 1 to 3 or 5 days, but like that's kind of like one of the things I like to focus on during the race week or taper is, all the hard work has been done. So now let's focus on the things that we can work on now. I can't go do more workouts. I mean, I could, they won't help me at that point. But what are the things that can help me, right? Making sure I'm getting good sleep, making sure I'm getting quality fuel, all that kind of thing. Those are the things that I tend to focus on. Paul Kane says, I'm thinking I'll use the RC Late 2 for a 16 miler, a comfortable long run shoe, but prefer the Vaporfly version 2s for a half marathon. I think a lot of people like the Vaporfly version 2s for a half marathon. Yeah. I haven't tried it though. I don't think I need to. But yeah, RC Elite 2, I'm excited about that one. Farhan Abdrahman says, hi Kofuzi, what do you think about the Glide Ride 2? The Glide Ride is a shoe that earlier in the year, I was like, I definitely want to make sure I run on that shoe. I missed out on it in version 1. I ran in the Evo Ride, but not the Glide Ride, but I think I missed out. And now it's September, middle of September, and I still haven't tried the Glide Ride 2. I think it's worth picking up. I think of it as a long run shoe that has that glide, what is it called? That ride technology. Has a lot of a very aggressive rocker to it, which the Evo Ride also had. I kind of felt like the Evo Ride was the speedier version in that set, and then the Glide Ride was like the max cushion version in that set. So I feel like, one of the things I was thinking about today is, I've got the Chicago Marathon coming up, and now that my running buddy's not running it, my goals have changed a little bit, but ultimately it's still not my A race for the year. I got to think about and protect my A race, which is CIM. So I think that as I get ready for CIM, it's probably something that I will pick up and put into the rotation as I start doing a lot more longer runs. Adam Fear says about the San Francisco Marathon, participants must wear masks in the Golden Gate National Recreation Area run by the National Park Service. Masks are required in crowded outdoor spaces on park property, and runners who don't wear masks could be fined. Fined. That's a lot. Wow. I thought maybe DQ'd, but fined is intense. But that's interesting. I don't think that I've seen any races that are requiring masks during the race. So that's, wow. And having a mask on during a marathon, it's going to be tough. Here's the thing. Like I carry a mask when I go running because I live in a high rise. So to get through the building, I have to mask up. But I put it in my pocket. When I come back, it's soaking wet, but I still put it on because I have to have my face covered. Fortunately, but the times that I run, there's not a lot of people around. And I always avoid the elevator. If there's other people, I never take an elevator with other people. Well, sometimes I take the elevator when I'm in a hotel, but then I'm not with my kids. When I'm with the kids, we never take the elevator with other people. So like, that's the hard part about like something where like, if there was an area or a part of the marathon where you had to mask up, like a lot of people do the paper masks and they discard them at the front at the start of the race. You'd have to have like like an aid station with just masks on. That's tough. I feel like that means that like eventually they're gonna just cancel that race. That's a tough one. Yeah, very difficult. Yeah, Garrett says, I've seen people run with their mask around the arm, like at the elbow, so they can still go in places. I've seen that too. I don't know, that just seems weird to me. I don't know why, but there's something about that seems like very, very odd. But you know, at least it keeps their mask dry, though. Terry Furlong said, I wore a mask for the first mile of his last half marathon until he found himself alone, and it was no problem. Yeah, I think the beginning is not as much of a problem as the end, right? Because then if you've gone from not masked to masked, that I think is pretty tough, you know. Oh, Frank said the El Paso marathon last February required masks and aid stations. Well, I suppose the one thing is that was last February, but it's surprising because El Paso, Texas, right? Yeah, that's interesting. That's crazy. Amne Mokhtari says, Kofuzi, how do you deal with runner's knee and knee health in general? I've made a lot of videos about it. And it's something that I continue to deal with. Not that I think I have runner's knee, but I just think I have there's something about my gait that when I have higher mileage weeks or higher intensity weeks, the knee starts to kind of act up a little bit. So one of the things I do is I do a mobility routine every day. That's more really like glute activation oriented, but also does a lot of like deeper knee bends. And I have that routine, like a run mobility routine. I have that on YouTube. And then, so I do that every day. That's the main thing that I do. But other exercises I've been working on are some plyometrics. I've been starting to incorporate some of those as well as just a way to isolate, each leg at a time and work on strengthening each of those legs and specifically the stabilizer muscles in the area. So I think that's kind of like where it comes from. I just think I have weak knees, and it's kind of like the weak point in terms of like my lower chain from like the hip down. So that's something that I always have to be mindful of. I think that's just, I'm that old now, or I'm running that much. Either way you want to look at, or more likely a combination of the two. Seabass says, how many kilometers are okay in a peak week to prepare for a 10K race? I think that's going to depend on a lot of different things. So I can't really answer that for you. For me, if I were training for a 10K, I'm trying to think, even when I did like a specific 10K training plan earlier this year, I don't think I was training for it as like a marathoner trains for a 10K. So I think I was still doing like 60 miles a week, which is a lot probably for most like 10K racers or for people that are really good at racing 10Ks. But I think that if you are at the sub-elite level, then you're probably doing more than that. So it can depend. So it's going to depend on experience level and what kind of your goals and expectations are. But, from a minimum perspective, I think that you should probably be running at least 20 miles, 30 miles a week. In terms of how much is okay is going to depend on how much of that is easy running to build aerobic strength or intense running to work on speed. So there's a lot of variables that go in there. Adam says, if your knees are problematic, make sure your body's fitted properly. A proper fit is a good idea regardless. Yeah, you know what I noticed when I did my longest ride ever on Monday is that I think that it may be the fit. I don't think the bike exactly fits me the way it's set up right now, but it may be the way the cleats were set up too on the bike, where my left knee, it wasn't clicking by the end of the ride, but there were parts of it where it felt like my knee was like kind of like cocked in a little bit more, too much towards center, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. And I would have loved to, if I had my foot position, could have kicked out just a little bit more. So I think that, I definitely need to get a bike fit. But I know what you mean, and I could easily see like if I were doing this every day, this could be a problem. Mika says, my doc said 15 years ago that I'll never run again with his knee. And even walking will require surgery, but he's still here hobbling along. Pace has definitely dropped, though. But glad to see that you're out there getting it done. Good work. Martha says about masks, says, I think masks are required at the start and finish, I think, of all the upcoming big races. I think you're right on that one. They were required at the beginning of Falmouth. And then at the end, it wasn't exactly required, I don't think. And then the place we went to after the race didn't require it, but we stayed outside the entire time. Kind of like outdoor, like eating, beer garden, beachy area. But that was definitely required before the race, and they were like, once you've gotten like past the starting gate, you can take them off. But a lot of people took them off like right before the race was going to go off. I did that too because like there was like a pile of disposable masks, and I was like, I don't want to like leave this in someone's yard. I'll leave this here with all the others, because then they'll be found and disposed of by somebody. So that's what I did. But yeah, there was. I'm trying to think. It wasn't at the Chicago Triathlon though. That was very notable and also made me a little bit concerned. Either before or after the race, and we were packed in pretty tight. I'd say not as tight as like a big marathon corral, but it was packed pretty tight. Farhan says, do you have any advice for me for my first half marathon? I'd say have a lot of fun and pace yourself. It's going to be longer than you think, but it's not going to be like intolerably long. But pace yourself and enjoy it. You're going to, as long as you finish, you'll have a PR for the day. So that'll be a lot of fun. But if you can find a pace group to stay with, I think that's going to really help, and go out slower than you think you need to. So, all right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Tomorrow's video is going to be, hopefully it'll be tomorrow. We'll see. I've just been so tired this week. We'll see if I can get to it. But I'm hoping for tomorrow's video, I'll be able to compare the Endorphin Pro 2 versus the Adios Pro 2. I ran in both of them for my workouts this week, so we'll put those two shoes head to head. And then it's the weekend, so I won't see you guys again live stream wise till Monday, when we'll do another Monday mukbang. And it'll be same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. In the meantime, have a great weekend running, everybody. Hopefully you guys stay safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you guys in the next one.